So I wanted to share a little bit about arrays this week. Now, we store our data in variables. If you have worked on complex applications or programs, you would know that you need a way to store data that is going to make it very efficient. You can either store it the way of one variable, one value, one variable, one value, but it's not going to work in the long run, because then as your application gets complicated and bigger, you're going to need a much more efficient way to keep your data. This is exactly where arrays come through. Arrays, this is a variable that can store multiple values. You can then store, instead of storing, have 4 different variables. In this case, you would have one variable that then stores all the values that you need stored. For example, here I have the variable cars, which stores all the different car brands that I want to store. I want to store Volvo, Mazda, Toyota, and BMW. So how do you then get to use an array? You do so by declaring an array and then opening up the curved curly brackets, or the curved brackets, the curved parentheses, as some other people call them. In languages such as JavaScript, Python, and Java, they use boxed brackets like this. That's what they use. But PHP uses curved parentheses. So now, after you have declared an array, you then need to store it within a variable, and then so that we can be able to access that array through that variable. Now, once this information is stored, or once the values are stored, each and every value within an array has a particular location or address. When I was starting to understand this, it was really hard for me to understand what's an index. But then I looked at it from the angle of an address. Each and every house within your street has a particular address that it can be used if you want to have access to that house, if you want to looking for that house. So an index or slash location is an address that gives you access to a value within an array. So if you come to this example that I gave here, at this position we have Volvo, at this position we have Mazda, at that position we have Toyota, then at that position we have BMW. In computer programming, we don't start from 1, 2, 3, 4. This would be 0, 1, 2, and 3. So you can say at position 0 there's Volvo, at position 1 there's Mazda, at position 2 there's Toyota, at the position 3 then there's BMW. So now let's work with practical examples. Let me see if my stack is running. Yes, Apache is running. And now let's access whatever that is. I have an array here. This name of this array, I declared it. It's stored in the variable data, and then I have names here. So if I open this, I'm saying here, go into the variable data. There's an array within there, and within that array, bring whatever is at position 0. So if I open this, I have Noku. Noku is the value that is at position 1 within the data array. If I go and I say, give me whatever is at position 0, and refresh my browser, I'll get a different value. I'll get McDonald's. So that's what we use when we want to access data within an array. We use indexing. Now, let's dig in a bit deeper so that we can be on the same page here. All right. So let's talk about associative arrays. Associative arrays gives you the opportunity to use a custom-made index rather than the built-in 0, 1, 2, 3. You can use a particular name. In this example, I'm going to work with, let me just echo this one. Let me comment this one out, and then I'll comment. I have a variable edge, which is basically storing the different edge numbers of different people. Okay. So I have with me here this variable edge. And within that, I have these values. And these values have been given indexes or keys, to so to speak of. So I want to say echo, going to the variable edge at position ben, give me whatever value is there. So if I go to my browser and I refresh it, we're going to get whatever is on that position, 37. So if I come and I look, where is 37? 37 is at key ben. I can even put jaw. If I refresh my browser, I should get 43. So that's associative indexing, associative variable, sorry. Now, there comes the beast of them all, the multidimensional arrays. Well, what are multidimensional arrays and how can they be useful? A multidimensional array is an array containing one or more arrays within it. PHP supports multidimensional arrays that are 2, 3, 4, or more levels deep. However, arrays more than 3 levels deep tend to be very confusing and it's hard to manage for a lot of people. So you want to really keep them below 3. Now, what is the dimensions? What determines the dimensions of an array? Dimensions of a multidimensional array indicate the number of indices needed to select an element. For a two-dimensional array, 2 indices are used to select an element. Now, why would we be covering multidimensional arrays? Well, if you've worked with databases, you would know that when we request data from a database, it is sent to us in the structure of an array. Now, if you store it within an array, then you have an array within another array. So you'd have the first array being where you're storing the response from the database. Now, the response from the database comes as an array as well. So now already you have a complex data structure there. A good example that I'm going to give here is, let's say I have this data 2, which is a variable, which is an array. Now this array has another array within it. If you look here, I'm just gonna, for most people, this is how it looks like. But then I like to really structure it in a way that makes it easier to read for the human eye. I'm still a human being. So there you go. Now that's a multidimensional array. Now I want to see the structure of this multidimensional array. At position 0, the value held there in data 2 is an array. At position 1, there's McDonald. At position 2, there's Noku. At position 3, then you have Munashi. So then if I say, go to my browser, refresh it, it gives me the structure of data 2, which is the variable keeping my multidimensional array. Now, if we go in here at position 0, what is there? Now we start looking after this small arrow, we'll see the value. Now at position 0, there's an array. This array starts here and it ends here. Now at position 1 of data 2, there is McDonald. At the position, this position, I think you can then say at position 2, you have Noku. At position 3, you have Munashi. Now, what makes it a 2-dimension? Well, let's look at this. I want to access the name Isaac. The name Isaac, it's held within the array that is within data 2. So I'll go and I'll say, look, go into data 2 at position 0. Once it goes into data 2, which is this variable, it will say, okay, what is at position 0? Position 0 is an array. Now to bring that array, then I'll say, I don't want the whole array. I just want whatever is at position. Let's say, let's start with position 0 and give me that. Now, if I come and I refresh that, it should give me yo-yo. But I'm not looking for yo-yo here. I'm looking for Isaac, which is at position 1. So I'm going to say 1, refresh my browser, then I have Isaac. So I've used 2 indexes to only access the value Isaac. That's what makes it a multi-dimensional array. So you can imagine now, you send a request to the database, then it responds, it sends an array, which you then store on another array. Now, if you don't know how to access that array, then it's going to be very tricky on how you can get the data out. So this is a little bit about multi-dimensional array. I hope you find it very useful. The resources that I've used to compile this is W3 Schools and Geeks for Geeks. Very helpful. I've also used PHP manual for particularly getting the syntax. So this is a little bit about multidimensional arrays and arrays in general. Thank you.